pediatrician. Are you still a pediatrician? You were a pediatrician before you came to Congress.
Once a pediatrician, always a pediatrician.
So we don't have to have a whole conversation about Dr. Latipo, but I was wondering, what do you think about the Florida decision to try to get rid of vaccine mandates, including for public school students?
Well, I listened very carefully to that interview earlier, and I think he is flat wrong. Public schools should absolutely require children.
So in this clip, we're going to watch Scott Jennings get in a fiery debate with the rest of the leftist lunatic panel on CNN about, I guess they're reacting to a few things. They're going to react to Vance's fiery comment. And what we can tell that this panel already is lunatic. I mean, first we get the feminist to talk, the feminist doctor, to start talking about vaccines. And I'm actually probably not going to touch on this subject, though I think she is flat wrong. And I'll leave it there. And Scott Jennings is going to do what Scott Jennings does best, but calmly destroy the panel and put the panel on CNN, the woke panel of CNN, in their place. Let's go ahead and get right into it.
To be vaccinated.
But what do you say to his thing about this is about parents should have a right to as to what goes into the bodies of their children?
Parents have always had a right to make their own decisions about whether to vaccinate their children or not. And they also have a right to homeschool their children or to send their children to a private school that might not require vaccines. But, when that freedom to not vaccinate their own children and put them at risk comes up against another child's freedom to go to school, knowing that they will not get measles or polio or whooping cough, then we have a real problem.
All right, I want to move on to another topic. There was a U.S. Navy strike on a...
Let me just make this point real quick. I'm sorry, guys. I know. And we're going to definitely get to Scott Jennings. Believe me, just stick with me, guys. Please, give me 30 seconds just to make this point. The left cracks me up because, yes, I'm calling her on the left. Because the comment that's made there is like, oh, yeah, you don't have to do anything to your kids, but, you can also send your kids to a private school and this, that, and a third. So the left does have, they act like they care about people who don't have money, the disenfranchised and this, that, and a third. So what if you're disenfranchised, but you want to have that decision for your child, but because you don't have enough money and can't pay for a private school, so you're going to your child's going to the public school, oh, well, whoopsies, too bad for you, right? This is how the left is very, very hypocritical. It's just hypocrisy. And as much as I think that we have huge issues in this country. We definitely do. But there still is a left, and there is still things to talk about with the left. By the way, guys, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you to every eye that lands on these videos.
On a boat this week, you just heard Tom Homan talking about it. The administration alleges was trafficking drugs for the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. 11 people on the boat were killed. J.D. Vance tweeted, "Killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military," to which a liberal commentator, Brian Krasenstein, responded, "Killing the citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called a war crime." And then J.D. Vance responded, quote, "I don't give a shit what you call it." Scott Jennings, thoughts?
Well, I'll give you my political view of how I think most Americans are going to view it, most Republicans certainly, and that is that societal decline is a choice. And when you let people come into the country by the millions, when you let drugs flow over the border and you just say, well, let's just get them here and then see how the bureaucracy sorts it out, most people want a more aggressive response. Societal decline is a choice, and they see this illegal immigration problem and this drug flow problem as part of overall societal decline, and they are hoping and looking for and happy with Trump and Vance taking a muscular response to this.
Well, so wait, I want to read something that Senator Rand Paul said and come right to you because you used to work at the Justice Department under Biden. Senator Rand Paul, a Republican from Kentucky, said, "JD, I don't give a shit Vance," that's his words, not mine. It says, "Killing people he accuses of a crime is the highest and best use of the military. Did he ever read To Kill a Mockingbird? Did he ever wonder what might happen if the accused were immediately executed without trial or representation? What a despicable and thoughtless sentiment it is to glorify killing someone without a trial."
Well, I'll say he has a lot of fair points there, and I think there are things that the administration could be doing that are unlawful, and there are legal questions around it. But what I'll also say is that no administration, Republican or Democrat, has been for cartel leaders. Everyone has worked to arrest and extradite cartel leaders. But the way that they've done it successfully in the last administration, they had a dozen cartel leaders from the Sinaloa cartel that they extradited or arrested, is through the help of that country. And you have to have the intelligence from that country in order to arrest and extradite people. Once you start going around and killing people without coordination of a country, that intelligence often stops. And that is the last thing the Americans want, is for that to stop.
I just don't know how you get intelligence from a country like Venezuela.
Yes.
I mean, how? You have to stop their operational capabilities, number one. Number two, I would think about the 80s and the 90s and how drugs impacted the black community. Think about how drugs impacted poor white communities coming from south of the border. And so if you were to ask many of those family members who saw their children die or children get strung out on drugs, many children, the children of those people have parents that were in prison as a result of that drug addiction. So to me, you got to do everything you possibly can to destroy these guys. And arresting the cartel leaders, that's not enough, because you arrest one, then someone else rises to the top.
What do you think about this, Drake?
Well, I mean, I think we all want drugs kept out of our country, and we should be firm on that. I also believe that in America, you get due process, and just being accused, I haven't seen any solid evidence, and I look forward to having a full confidential briefing in Congress. We deserve it.
These are
So, and Scott's going to come in and destroy the lady, the leftist lunatic with the eyes. Here's the thing, okay? So, because I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm going to keep it real, okay? Number one, yes, we do have situations with illegals. Well, actually, Trump sealed the border, so I don't think that they're getting in that way anymore. Trump did a good job of sealing the border. But with this particular issue here, the reason why, for me, and guys, we have to look at this as an America First thing. As Americans, we don't trust. I don't know. I don't trust the government, no matter who's in charge, right? Because this isn't a monarchy. Trump can't just go in and just do whatever he wants. As in, if I could just rely on it just being Trump making decisions, I probably would feel more comfortable. But because I know that there's a bunch of bureaucrats and whatever else around him, I can't, I'm not comfortable with it, period. But so decisions get made that, look, let's not act like in the first term that the Pentagon didn't push back on Trump, because they did. Now, anyway, which is why I think that we don't ever get the full story. And what happened on the sea that day, later on, Marco Rubio himself said that boat was actually going to Trinidad. It was not coming to America. So I don't understand why that happened. I don't. And I'm sorry. I don't think that this is a way to deal with this, because what it is, guys, is movements towards a certain kind of war. And the fact is, they are going into Venezuela for regime change. And you don't have to care about Venezuela, Venezuelans, or anything like that. I'm not asking you to. But I'm asking you to care about yourself and your community, because when they go in and do these regime changes, it causes societal destruction, confusion, all of the sanctions, everything else that comes with it. And what do you get? You get refugees. Everybody's complaining about Somalian refugees, what's going on in Minnesota, but, like little Somaliland and all that over there. I hear you loud and clear. I do. But the fact is, we've caused refugees and we bring them in. I've seen it with my own eyes. So I'm not really beat for breaking up Venezuela to bring in. But so then I got to keep hearing about Tren de Aragua all the time. Like, come on, what are we doing? And we will bring in refugees. You better believe this is what we do. So I think that people are, missing that point there.
Transnational terrorist organizations. We have to stop thinking of these people like they are just jaywalkers. They're not. They're terrorists. If Middle Eastern terrorists were on a boat trying to come into the United States with materials that would kill hundreds of thousands or millions of people, we would bomb them into the Stone Age or to the bottom of the ocean, which is what we did with this boat. We have to think of them that way. They are terrorists. They're coming to terrorize our communities, kill our children, and create societal decline in the United States. That is what we have to reframe our thinking on them.
Well, let me ask.
So we'll just leave it there. Scott Jennings in a perfect world makes a lot of sense with what Scott Jennings is saying. Again, I'm not going to pretend like, yeah, that's right. But, I'm looking at the bigger picture here. And again, that boat was not coming here Like, I had Marco Rubio said that boat was not coming here. What are we doing? Okay. And the people are going to come anyway. By the way, for Shermichael, who said, well, but if we put one in jail, just another one just rises up. That's the same thing if you kill them. Like, so that was weird. You got to make the if you're going to take a position on this like this, here's the position I would take. This is what I'll say. We have a president of the United States of America who is the chief commander of the military. And, we have to trust that our infrastructure is giving him the right information so that he can make the right decisions. If we feel like that something is not adding up with our infrastructure and the intelligence that they are giving our president, then we need to discuss what's going on with our infrastructures. We want to keep Americans safe, and that is the America First policy. And we want to make sure that we don't, cause any issues where Americans will be having to take in more foreigners that we simply just can't take in. That's what I would say. It's not, that's just how I would say it. Because there's a reality to these kind of things where, people aren't really getting all of the information, and it is not good. And people will be complaining later. But still, it was good to watch Scott destroy the panel. I'll see you guys at the next one. Bye.